Welcome to the gaming update with Salem and Guilty. I'm Guilty.
I am Salem.
So what's up, man?
Nothing much. Just looking forward to our game updates.
Yeah. We decided to do podcasts. We are actually indie devs that got screwed.
For lack of a better word, yes.
Yeah. That sums it up. We'll get to that later. First up, Baldur's Gate 3 wins Game of the Year for 2023, which obvious.
Yes.
I called this year like when it launched. I played it for 5 minutes and I said this is going to be Game of the Year.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's always that game that comes out every year that you're like, yeah, this is easily Game of the Year or at least contender for it. So,
yeah. A couple, like, I don't know, there's some people that didn't like it because it had the sex stuff in it and all that. And like the very first thing you're asked is, do you want that in your game?
Yeah.
It's like, I think it asks that before you make your character.
Does it? I thought it asked if you wanted nudity.
Oh, no. It's like, no, because when you're making your character, this is the thing.
Yeah.
So like, you can have big flop.
Yep.
Or you can have uncut big floppy. Those are your choices: big floppy or uncut big floppy. And then you can have a choice of vag.
Yep.
And my favorite part of the game, bar none, was what was it? It was standard. No, what did they call it? Default. Default. What is default gender, Sam?
Me. I am him. I'm the default.
Joking aside, the game's fantastic.
Yep.
The storytelling in it is very good, and where it did fall short originally, the devs, Larian, they fixed that. People were bitching about some of the characters not having as strong a storyline as others, and they fixed that, and people liked it enough for it to get Game of the Year.
Yep.
Now,
well, I think one of its big strengths was its writing and its variation in how you could tackle situations. So I've watched several people play it. I played a little bit of it, and every single scenario that you run across can be tackled in so many different ways depending on how your characters are built. Your characters' backgrounds can open up completely different ways to solve whatever scenario you're running into. And I think just that level of storytelling from players' choices, where it's more of an emergent kind of storytelling, I think is what really sets it apart from everything else that's come out probably in the last 10 years at least. So
yeah. Okay, so as far as CRPGs go, it's not many people really think about this, but Game of the Year, depending upon publication, has been given out to Disco Elysium on 2 to 3 separate occasions.
Yeah, because again, it had the Disco Elysium was the same way. It was that emergent storytelling that had such variation depending on the players' choices that they made, and it just makes for fantastic gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, a teenager's not going to get into a CRPG. Well, not. I wouldn't imagine many, because they're all on Adderall or something. I don't know.
That would help you get into them, though.
Oh, yeah, maybe the Adderall helps you. Yeah, maybe I should. Oh, I should try taking Adderall. Salem said I should start taking Adderall. Everyone, let me know. I could be like a doctor or a lawyer.
Or a CRPG player.
Or a CRPG player, yeah. Or a speed freak. Who knew? Who knows? But yeah. So Baldur's Gate 3 wins Game of the Year 2023 Game Award. An expert review. We don't need to read the expert review because we played the game. We both like it quite a bit. I will say this: not only did the game win, but individual voice actors from the game were brought up for awards too.
Were they?
Yeah. Astarion, I think he was one.
Yep.
in his traditional. Oh, how did you
I can
feel
see
about
that.
the Astarian's always trying to like bone you?
Yeah, that was my biggest issue. Like you were talking about the whole choose at the beginning sex
Yeah,
shit. It felt like you were constantly dodging sex scenes, in particular from the same sex a lot of the times. So a lot of the game, at least the social aspects, I wish there would have been less focus on like the romantic side of it and more focused on just like actual, normal relationships rather than the romantic side. I mean, I like games where that's in there. I just don't like it so heavily.
I would take it a step further and say the dialogue should not automatically pop up as often, and
Yeah.
the dialogue tree should be able to be followed at will by
Hmm.
completing some task.
Yeah.
Now, all three gentlemen pictured up here have hit on me numerous times because I'm a hot tamale apparently.
Of
And
course.
only the Githyanki have I ever successfully like dated. Like
Yeah.
what's Shadow Hearts like? It's difficult. She's the most difficult one in my opinion
Hmm.
because of the things you have to do. Like to get the Yankee, you just have to like say the right things.
Yeah.
For Shadow Hearts, like I actually have to follow through with some of the things I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what you're saying from I will say I've been hitting on by this guy right here.
Hmm.
The wizard. What's his name?
Um,
That guy hit on me left and right.
yeah. If you hadn't asked, I would have been able to tell you his name.
Yeah, because exactly. He's my least favorite, although his story is probably one of the top 3 of the characters.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes no
I'd agree with
sense.
that.
Yeah, it makes no sense because he's a cool character. He's my least favorite of the ones I picked up.
Yeah.
And probably because he hit on me so much.
Yeah.
Take notes,
like,
Larian.
yeah. Quite honestly, it kind of ruins it.
But
Not entirely, but to a degree.
I wouldn't say it ruins it, but it did make me hate him as a character.
Yeah. Yeah. It let me know how girls feel all the time with guys coming up and hitting on them. It's like, bitch, leave me alone. I'm not interested. No, I don't want to go out to dinner with you and get sushi.
Oh my
Fuck off.
god, I didn't think about that until just now.
Maybe that's what Larian was really trying to teach all of the male gamers out there.
Well, they succeeded.
Yeah.
They also made me feel good about myself.
Yeah, well, yeah. Why do you think all these women have overinflated egos these days?
Because of Larian Studios?
Because of Larian Studios, yes.
Bastards. All right. Moving on to Hogwarts. I didn't play Hogwarts. I've watched it played. A couple of my friends have played it. You've played it. Tell me about Hogwarts Legacy.
It was another one of those games that when you played it, you could tell that it was going to be, if not Game of the Year, contender for it. The world building in it, even as somebody that's not like the biggest Harry Potter fan, I watched the movies. I enjoyed them. I never read the books. The movies were fun, enjoyable. But they did such a fantastic job at least sticking to the movies. I like I said, I haven't read the books, so I don't know how true faithful it is to the books. But it does such a fantastic job of capturing just the aesthetic and atmosphere that you feel in the movies, with the score in the game, the atmosphere, the castle in particular, Hogwarts Castle in particular, is so wonderfully crafted. And it was so much fun just exploring the castle, going down hallways and secret passages and just looking everywhere, finding all these little intricate things, and it was just fantastic exploring it. Where my biggest criticism of the game comes in at where the majority of the game takes place outside the castle. So they made just an amazing castle and place for you to explore with everything, all these secret passages and so much going on. and then the majority of the game takes place outside of the castle. So you're
So
wandering around in the hills and all in nearby towns
would you
and
say
all
it's
this
open
other
world?
stuff. Oh yeah, it's 100% open world. So you can always just walk back or fly back on your broom back to Hogwarts Castle and run around in there. But if you want to do like any of the story or the quests or missions or whatever you want to call them, most of it takes you outside of the castle. I
So
would have liked to see it more
that's
focused
strange.
on, yeah, I would have liked to see it more focused on the castle and maybe actually some Bowley, if you remember that game from the PS2, Bowley, where you actually went to classes and it was more of a
Oh
simulation
yeah.
game.
Oh,
I would have
so
liked to
like a
see a little bit more of
Persona
that.
smack on it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
kind of Persona, where it was actually more of like a simulation, attend classes, do this sort of stuff, actually learn, potions and
right.
spells and classes and this sort of stuff. It was you go to each class once and for a cutscene and maybe a little bit of like story exposition, and then you don't go to that class again,
Got it.
except for maybe like one or two exceptions with the main storyline. But yeah, I would have liked to see it more castle focused rather than run around out in the open world around the castle. So
Okay. All right. Wow. Hearing someone say that I need a dash of Bully or Persona in my game makes me happy.
yeah, I mean they're fantastic games.
I will be waiting for this to go on like one of those mega sales because
Oh yeah,
it's not really
it's
it's not one that I
it's
need to
worth
play
picking
right
up.
now. I will pick it up
No,
and play it though.
yeah. If for nothing else, just exploring the castle.
Well, we're moving on to Diablo 4. Before we go to Diablo 4 though, we're on Diablo 4 now. Before we move on to the next web page, which is the Steam page, why the is Diablo 4 on Steam, Sam? Why?
Because Activision Blizzard is quickly tanking and they're looking to offload a lot of their costs, aka out of the Blizzard launcher and other areas, and trying to pick up some revenue from Steam or other less internalized places.
What could have brought them to the state that they're at now with their would you call Diablo their flagship franchise at this point, or would you consider that still WoW? Because I didn't see WoW in Steam. I saw Diablo
their
in Steam.
money maker is still Call of Duty, unfortunately.
Well, I'm talking about Blizzard's side of things. I feel as if
Gotcha.
Blizzard's being carried by Call of Duty right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's Activision that's carrying Blizzard.
Yeah.
The subsidy or whatever. But no, as far as Blizzard goes, I mean, I think Diablo 3 is actually still more viewed on Twitch than Diablo 4. At least it was last time I checked. I don't know if it still is. Maybe you can pull that up and look real quick on Twitch.
Yeah, I will.
I know that was going around on the internet for a little while. Everyone was memeing on it.
What on
categories?
Oh yeah. Diablo 4's numbers sank though, like a lot.
Yeah,
on Twitch.
I don't know what since season 2 came out, but oh yeah, Diablo 4 1.5 thousand viewers. What's Diablo 3? 1,000 viewers. Okay, so it is Diablo 4 is up from Diablo 3.
There shouldn't be
500
any
viewers.
competition.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, it's the company's been going downhill for probably 10 years now. And
so you're telling me that the difference between Diablo 3 and Diablo 4 is one raid from Ghazi?
Yeah, 500 viewers. Yes. Yeah. There was actually a little while during season 1 of Diablo 4 that even Diablo 2 had more viewers on Twitch than Diablo 4.
They should be proud.
Yeah. Yep. So, no, it's just
you know what has topped both of those?
What? Our World?
No. Aaron's freaking streaming. Aaron's streaming Diablo 4 has gotten more current video just on his. That's how much it's gone down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, and Gazzy and then what's his well, if Asmon, just films himself taking a dump, it's going to get more views than
Yeah,
anybody.
exactly. Yeah. He gets absolutely.
But like these guys were getting that each.
Yeah.
Now that's the total. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So Diablo 4, why do you, is it because it's a bad game, Saelum? Is it because the game is a contrived piece of dung?
Well, so so its individual systems are not bad. Its combat is enjoyable. Its skills are fun to use. It's everything functions well within it. However,
it's very smooth. I've always said it's probably the smoothest ARPG I played.
Yeah, I mean, Blizzard's known for that, is the level of polish, which they are very good at polishing and getting really fine-tuned mechanics in their game.
Did they polish a turd?
That's the thing, is with Blizzard, or with Diablo 4 rather, what's really hurt it and set it back. I have not played Season 2. I played release through Season 1, but maybe they've addressed some of these issues in Season 2.
Is enjoyable.
Mm-hmm. But their biggest issues were honestly itemization, and how that relates with your skills. So in Diablo 3, there was such variation with builds and gear and all this different stuff to where me and one of my buddies would literally spend, or two of my buddies would literally spend, I think we had well over 1,000 hours.
You had 5,000 hours of that game when I met you.
No, that was Dota 2. That was a different game.
Oh yeah, Dota 2.
Yeah. No, but we had well over 1,000 hours of D3 also. And it was just in the end game of it, just grinding out, finding better gear, itemizing better, skill builds, different builds, all these different things. And the itemization in D4 is just awful. There's maybe like 3 or 4 builds that are very viable in D4. The skill tree is lackluster. The Paragon tree, I actually really like the Paragon tree.
Yes.
Yeah. The skill tree, however, is very lackluster and does not.
It's essentially you pick the skill you want to use, and then the next time you get down here, you pick that same skill and make it stronger.
Exactly. Yep.
Whoever designed that didn't design a damn thing. They just drew a line that was linear.
Yeah. There's no variation to it. There's nothing it's the skills are just really poorly. Like each individual skill is fun and well polished, but the skill tree as a whole leaves no variation.
No.
Nothing to play with, nothing to build on, nothing to tinker with.
Do you think they purposely dumbed it down for the
possibly? I think it was incompetence. I think they lost. I mean, we know that they lost. I think their lead director twice in the development. They lost some other really key Blizzard personnel that have been in the Diablo teams in the past that they've lost.
Well,
and I think
there is that, and the other thing.
What other thing?
Their constant lawsuits. They got investigated by the SEC for the crap they were doing to their employees.
Yeah.
How often does a video game company get investigated by the SEC?
True.
For mistreating its employees.
Yeah, I don't know. There's been a big push in the gaming industry recently for, fair treatment and long hours and all that stuff, which I get. That's a good argument, and people need work. But this wasn't about work-life balance.
This was about.
What was this about?
The SEC investigated them because they were forcing people to say whether or not the SEC asked them any questions about their company that they worked for.
Wait,
and they were
again?
apparently, allegedly,
Mm-hmm.
the SEC hypothetically was asking employees of Blizzard, hey, what's going on? And Blizzard was making them report that to them. And that's a no-no. You're not supposed to interfere with SEC investigation or whatever. Yeah. So it was because you're not supposed to inhibit an SEC investigation by like coercing your employees.
Gotcha.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened from that, but that's what was happening.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the investigation was into whether or not they were stopping employees from, I guess, disclosing to the SEC, or they were forcing them to report that the SEC had talked to them. Anyway, there was a big, it was a thing that happened.
Gotcha.
That was also last year.
Was it last year?
I
don't remember seeing.
It was either last year or it was 22. It was 22 or 23. Either way.
Yeah.
That goes on top of the mountain of nonsense. The freaking Cosby suite. The girl that had her nudes passed around at the Christmas party.
And then at Blizzard?
She yeah. They passed.
Really? I didn't see that.
She self-deleted because of it.
Oh, did she really?
Yeah,
Damn.
Man. Like, this isn't like, oh, Bobby Kodak's is a bad man. I'm like, no, they're all bad people. They're all pretty terrible people if they're allowing that to happen around them. Because like, if I'm in a group with people and they're doing stuff that I know is harmful, I'm probably going to be like, that's harmful. You're a piece of shit.
Yep.
And no one apparently did that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a California thing. I don't know. People. I don't know.
Yeah.
Could be normal in California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. You also, there has to be something else wrong with you too.
I don't know if I'd allow someone to film me boning either.
Well, no. Yeah. That's.
I don't know.
Degenerate behavior leads to degenerate things. Go figure.
From the mouths of babes. It's almost like there is a place where you could read about all of these things and you could be like,
Yeah. If only people had gotten this figured out for about 2,000 years.
Moving on to why we're not still developers, but not currently active.
Yeah.
Unity. They've changed their web site again. It says go create. And I'm happy to announce that they are no longer main paging that the fact that they are being used by the Ford Motor Company. That used to be the main page. It's almost like for a while there, they were trying to sidestep the fact that it was a video game engine and focus primarily on their augmented reality applications, Lockheed Martin, Ford Motor Company, etc. Like the F-35 Lightning II was the simulation for that's a Unity project with Lockheed. Ford Motor Company supposedly uses it in some facet for manufacturing. So yeah, they were proud about that. And then around that time, they started making changes. Well, they were making changes before that, but that's when it was mainstream changes. Yeah. Long story short, we worked on a project called Space Pope for 5 years. And we were paying customers. We weren't using the free application.
Unity Pro.
We were also paying for their built-in versioning software, which is called Collab, which they axed and forced us to use Plastic SMC or SCS or whatever plastic.
Yeah, third party.
It was a third party
file sharing
versioning software, similar to Perforce if you use that, something like that, or Git. And we don't like. It's not that Git's bad or Perforce is bad. It's like Perforce is way too robust for our needs.
For what we needed. Yeah.
And
Collab was simple, easy.
Collab was a one button thing and it worked really well.
It was literally, hey, you've made changes. Do you want to upload them? Yes.
And
or hey, there's changes that Tom made. Do you want to download them? Yes.
Yeah.
That was literally it.
It was flawless and it worked well. And we were able to get a lot of work done that way.
Yep.
And then they changed that and we had to go and do this dumbass. Plastic sucks so bad compared to what Collab was.
It froze my files at least.
It's just not good. If it does not work, it's not good.
Well, we couldn't unlock the files either because it somehow registered them as being checked out. When I had not, by me, when I had nothing checked out on mine. So it somehow registered 2 different users on my computer. Yeah. And my non-existent user had our files checked out, and we contacted Plastic. We did everything, and we could not get them unchecked out.
Yeah. So. Multiple times, multiple emails sent. Long story short, for everyone that doesn't know what versioning software is, when I make changes to the file structure of the project, I turn them in. Before he makes changes, he should download them unless we're not working on the same files. If we are, he should download them. And then it makes it flag saying, hey, this is checked out, so I can't make changes to it. Because 2 people making changes to the same file is bad. It keeps everything nice and tidy, and it makes it so that you can actually work together.
Yes.
So Plastic sucked.
Yeah.
That was a big one.
Well, it bricked it, so we couldn't work on it, and we tried for maybe a month emailing Plastic, trying make a new one, everything, and it just bricked the whole project. So. Both companies can kiss my ass.
Yeah. Like I've used multiple versioning softwares. Saelum has as well. And both companies at this point can kiss my ass. Namely because they thought they could get away with charging people per download. Now they've walked that back and the CEO quit because of it, but we don't know if it's because of it, but he quit.
Yeah.
But no, the fact that you thought that was going to go over smoothly.
Yeah, and it's not even the fact they walked it back, so it's not like that's an issue any longer. What the actual issue is the trust. Like everyone that's using Unity is trying to build a business, trying to build a product that they can sell and then capitalize on to continue, making games or hire on more people, yada yada yada. And if the engine, the game engine that they're using has done that, or can possibly do something like that or something similar to that in the future, it breaks all that trust, and you can't build a business on an unknown like that.
No, I don't trust them.
Yeah.
I would sooner trust Nikki Haley to come to my dinner table and tell me the truth. Anyway. So if you guys are like everyone, and we're not hating on the engine. The engine's fine. A lot of great things are created. Yeah. People are like, oh, it doesn't look as pretty as Unreal. No, it doesn't. But Unreal spends money to have a very lackluster engine with a very cool, visual aspect, like the shading and lighting and all that. And that's essentially what that is. But not every time you can, if you know how to program, I'm sure you can do whatever you want, but a lot of people seem to be using the blueprint system in Unreal Engine.
Yep.
And you're going to get a lot of cookie cutter bullshit doing that. Not saying there isn't a blueprint system type thing in Unity, because there is now. But there wasn't when we started.
Nope.
Anyway, but moving on, this if you haven't picked up, we're talking about that happened in 2023 that pissed us off or made us happy or whatever. This one pissed me off the most. I'm not as seething furious about it because I saw it coming as soon as they started changing things around. Even after we got bricked, they took away my analytics that I paid for.
Yeah. Yep.
So, Unity, you kiss my ass.
Well, I mean, they also made a lot of changes there. It was, since we'd been doing it for we'd been working on this for 5 years, and we had systems that we created, 5 years ago, and then all of a sudden a new update comes out in 2021 or 2022 towards the end of it, and it would brick our old system. It would, that's no longer what Unity does for this mechanic anymore, and now that system you created with that,
the API
that's
is
obsolete.
redacted.
Exactly, and it could break entire mechanics and entire systems in our game.
Yep.
And it was a constant fight with Unity updates for that.
Well, I mean, so we would purposely not update for that reason, and then when a feature would come out that we're like, oh, this feature
increases our productivity by 10 times.
Yeah, then we would update, and then we'd have to go back and fix the stuff that does not work with that. And one of those was we did it for the lighting, the 2D lighting.
Yeah.
2D lighting, that was worth the upgrade.
Yeah, it was looking fantastic. Like, we had the actual shadows and everything. That was
dynamic
cool.
2D lighting was very cool. Yeah, that was a cool add-on for that.
Yep.
Yeah, they suck so. As good as it is, their business model sucks.
Yeah.
Their business model, to me, what I received as a product from the company that I was paying was just to get bent over.
Yeah.
I paid them to cornhole me for 5 years.
And you could get it cheaper off the street.
Anyway.
Especially down there in Miami.
Yeah, but that's like 4 hours away. 5 hours, something like that.
Are you really that far from Miami?
Yeah, dude, it's a 7-hour drive to Key West.
Yeah, but I mean, that's like down and around some
crazy
it's
like 120 miles of islands.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's probably 4 hours.
Yeah.
4 hours from Miami.
Fair enough.
You're getting close when you start seeing iguanas.
You have now wild iguanas down there?
I won't say they're wild, but they're plentiful.
Really?
Yeah, they're wild, but I don't know if they're like, I'm pretty sure that's like
they got introduced.
Yeah. They're all over the place. If you go to Key West, roosters and iguanas everywhere.
That's cool.
Everywhere. Microsoft Activision Blizzard acquisition.
Yep. My thoughts on this are it can't get much worse. So, like, Activision Blizzard is a slow moving crash. And the worst thing that could happen is they crash faster. So I only see it as a possible win. It's either the exact same or an improvement. Yeah, exactly.
What do we lose? The
at this
data
point,
for the games
WoW
already
is
exists.
not. Yeah, at this point, WoW is no longer what WoW used to be. Diablo is no longer what Diablo used to be.
Right.
StarCraft, since
are they actually giving it love?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. It was already dead. So worst case scenario, they revive it and it sucks. So
yeah. They put some blue hair freaking.
Hello, I'm Mr. Ed.
They put some weirdo in there, and it's the protagonist that's like 120 pounds holding bricks.
Yeah, exactly.
And she goes and kicks some Space Marine's ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So it can't get worse. It's already at rock bottom. So either it stays at rock bottom or it improves. So. That's kind of my thoughts on the whole Microsoft acquisition. Plus, they have done a fantastic job with Minecraft. So, if you want to look at other acquisitions from games,
they did. Actually, that's an excellent point.
Yeah. So they've done a fantastic job with Minecraft. They haven't ruined it. They've stayed true to the actual feeling and aesthetic and everything for Minecraft. Yeah.
So
there's been a few controversial things with Minecraft, but yeah.
I have some wants.
I
want them to make the raids little less in World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
The reason people aren't playing them is because they're not fun.
Yeah.
They're not fun because you have made them so tedious that groups don't want to play them. You have failed at what you set out to do, and you need to not fail. Like, when you do things, try not to fail.
Yeah.
This is my personal advice to you, Blizzard. If you know people aren't playing it because it is not fun, and you are in the business of doing something that people will think is fun, you are failing.
True. Good point. Valid point.
Asmund actually just said the reason he's not rating is because it's not fun, and he pointed out.
Yeah.
I think he said something about if someone up and everyone has to. Well, less people will up if you don't do some tedious bullshit. Now, is your raid about everyone standing on the square at the same time exactly and doing the exact order of the thing, or is your raid about a group of a large group of people spending 4 hours in a freaking raid together having fun killing stuff?
Yeah.
Like, I think they got a little bit overboard with the mechanics being so tedious that they probably forgot that it was supposed to be fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the problem with most big game developer, or every single big game developer these days, is they're more focused on the bottom line and not as something that's fun. And they really need to start viewing games again as an art form rather than a business, essentially, which is why you see them looking for maximizing playtime. They'll draw, like, Diablo 4, for example. They know that their fun is that they're sitting there with charge and data and all this sort of stuff, looking at, okay, our biggest retention time for players is in the first 60 levels, 70 levels of their character. After that, the player count drops off heavily. So what they'll do, instead of improving that last 30 levels, they extend the time it takes for somebody to get through the first 70 levels. So they are just looking to maximize playtime rather than actually increase fun, because that's what will bring in the money.
Right.
And so every single game company is looking at it business wise.
Well, it's not game companies, it's tech companies.
Well, yeah,
like Twitter and YouTube want you to never leave Twitter, or I'm sorry, X. X and YouTube want you to never, ever turn off X or YouTube. They want you to stay on. Yeah. The longer you stay on, the more ads they're going to be able to give you.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, but so this, I think it's safe to say we both view the Microsoft acquisition as a good thing. Namely, I don't give a shit about Diablo 4. I don't think it's redeemable at this point. And not in the next 2 years, maybe. And I'll say the next 2 years, because they still have to untangle a whole bunch of BS that they've done, and they need to give me a skill tree that I don't deem as a phone game skill tree.
The skill tree needs reworked. There's so many quality of life things that need to be addressed in there.
Map overlay, come on now.
Map overlay, item filtering. There's just so much in there that needs to be addressed, and they could do it. I don't think they have the time, though, because you have Path of Exile 2 coming out soon. You have Last Epoch coming out soon, which have already proved. Last Epoch already has almost every single quality of life issue that I've seen people raise with D4 is already in Last Epoch, and Last Epoch isn't even released yet.
So
it's in early access, and it already has every single quality of life thing that
when
about D4.
To that point, when interviewing Steve from 11th Hour Games, he's the PR director essentially.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that they pride themselves on. If you go for Mike on every Friday, he's doing a developer stream and answering questions on Twitch. That team is not full of
Yeah.
They got 10-cent money, but they didn't get as much money as you think they got.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean that's a team that actually is, more concerned about making, work of art, for lack of not,
Well,
to sound pretentious or anything, but they're more concerned about the actual art of the game rather than a business that is,
right.
maximizing its margins and all this sort of stuff, maximizing play time and
correct. And their microtransaction shop that they do, there is a transaction shop in the game. However, there's nothing in it currently. Not really. They're kind of dabbling with it. It's all cosmetic.
Yeah, which is fine. Like I honestly, I'm perfectly fine with certain games having non-cosmetic.
Well, certain games, non-competition based games, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Yep.
And even like PoE, I put money into. I've already given EHG my money on multiple occasions because I really think they're good developers. I guess we'll go ahead and go straight to Last Epoch here.
Yep, because that's in your top 3 that you're
is my number 1
in
2024 game, because I've been playing it for years. I've been playing it with people who have been playing it since it was in early stages. They kickstarted the damn thing. It was in such a different state when I started playing it versus what it is now. It's like watching a child grow. Also, this game is made in Unity. Yep. So I think it's one of the best ARPGs out. Period. And they're essentially they wanted it to be the spiritual successor to Diablo 2, because Diablo 3 was not that. So they started making this, and I would rank it up there with Diablo 2, with Grim Dawn, with Path of Exile. And dude, I've been able to play some of the CTs, well, all of the CT stuff, but the stuff that's coming on 1.0 is sexy as dude.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
What are they adding in that's not already in?
There's going to be it's going to be all of the classes are going to be in the game.
Okay.
And that's pretty much what everyone wants. There's not going to be any new end game content, but each time they've added a class, it has felt like when you're playing that class that you're playing a different game. It is that different from the other classes that they had made before.
Yeah.
And the ones that are coming on 1.0 are no exception.
How many are they adding?
It's subclasses. There's 2. The final 2 are coming.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. There's no exception to the way that they feel different from previous subclasses or a core class. It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
Now, as far as endgame goes in this game, everyone's like, "Oh, the endgame's just mapping." It's not true. You have arena, you have the mapping, dungeons, and it's like Path of Exile. If you don't like that, don't play an ARPG endgame. I never understood that. People complain about the endgame in ARPG. I'm like, then don't play it. That's what it is.
I don't know. I mean, that's kind of the argument in Diablo 4's cornered as well as, if you don't, it's fun for the first 70 levels, just don't play it. But that's kind of the point of Diablo.
An RPG is the
end game is the end game. Yeah.
Well,
and
I'm
if the
talking
end
about
game's
the end game, people are complaining about what an end game is in an ARPG.
Yeah.
Like it is mapping. It is doing these things.
Yeah, it's grinding out better gear, it's itemizing, it's testing different builds, running against harder and harder, nightmare difficulties or whatever the equivalent is in the game that you're playing.
Monoliths, but monoliths and Ellie. Yes, exactly. And a lot of people are like, oh, that was the main critique is like, oh, are they going to give us a new end game system? It's like, dude, get good at the end game system you have now with all of the classes.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the end game for action, RPGs.
Yeah. So. That being said, this is my number 1. My absolute number one for the year is that this gets released finally. It's been pushed back a number of times. It pissed a bunch of people off, but I think it's for the better.
Do they have a date on it?
Yeah. February,
What's the date?
February, I think 22nd or 21st or something like that.
Is it? Nice.
Yeah. Because I liked it because maybe I'm wrong on the exact date, but it's the end of February. Okay. But February 2nd or the beginning of February is a different game that's also on my top 3 for 2024 that I wanted, my most looked forward to. That's Persona 3 Reload. But with Last Epoch, the multiplayer is the only thing that I'm really kind of I'm not afraid because I feel as if they'll do it, but on launch day, I feel as if that's going to be the only problem they have.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, but that's every company.
Yeah.
And to their credit, this was not a multiplayer game for 90% of its time.
Yeah.
They took a single player game and made it multiplayer.
Yeah, because I remember when you initially gave me a key for it and invited me to play. I don't even remember what year that was. It was when you first got into it. I was like, I'm going to wait until they add multiplayer. I don't want to ruin the...
Oh, you would have played a completely different game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's grown. It's like a vine.
Yeah.
So this is my number one. What's your number one? Was it?
So my number one game that I'm looking forward to in 2024 is Dragon's Dogma 2. It comes out March 21st. So we got just 2 months now. Lord, 2 months and a day left. It looks fantastic. They've done a few 10, 15-minute gameplay reveals.
Mm-hmm.
And it's my last big hope for AAA gaming. Capcom normally delivers. They did Monster Hunter World, which I absolutely loved. I had like 500, 600 hours into that.
Mm-hmm.
Dragon's Dogma 1 was amazing.
Dragon's Dogma is the reason why people still trust in AAA, I think.
Yep. And yeah, so that's my number one that I'm looking forward to this coming year.
So, okay. That's unfair of me to say because we got Elden Ring, which is AAA.
Yeah.
And that's a badass game.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be as badass as Dragon's Dogma 2, though. That's a good pick.
Mm-hmm.
This game looks fantastic. This game it kind of reminds me of the Path of Exile 2 as to the rest of the ARPG. This is like the action RPG non-isometric.
Yes.
It's going to be setting some standards, I think.
Yes. And it's you can tell it's a game that they did it for the art of it, like we were talking about previously, and not for the business decisions. Because again, a single player game there's just not the return on investment that the Call of Duties or Fortnites or any of these online persistent live service games are offering on investors. So to see Capcom or any of these big AAA developers actually still putting the resources and money into a game like this is very encouraging, to say the least, about the future of gaming.
Capcom,
at least on the AAA side of it.
Capcom's been knocking it out of the park, though.
Yeah, Monster Hunter
Evil 4, man.
The Resident Evil remakes.
Yeah.
Although I'm against remakes, but that's a different.
I don't know if I'm against. I think
subject.
I'm against the remakes I've been getting.
Yeah.
I think they put a sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
Because there's no problem I have with the company taking an old product, cleaning it up, and making it playable on a new bit of hardware, and maybe making it smoother.
Sure. Yeah, I'll agree to that. And old games like System Shock is the perfect example. I'm all for the System Shock remake simply because it's 25 years
Yes.
old
It's
and
not
was
older.
completely unplayable on current PCs and whatever else. So the remake is there so that people can still experience that game today. However, these remakes that are, like The Last of Us, there was no reason to do a remake of The Last of Us.
No, there wasn't.
Except for a cash grab.
What was the add-on to that? What was the benefit? Like you get to play it on PlayStation 4
graphics.
now, and was it PS5 as well?
I think it was. On PS5.
It's now in higher definition.
It's so they could sell the game again on new consoles.
And
there's the slightly better graphics
on our action linear story-driven RPG that doesn't matter.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Now, remasters I'm okay with to a certain degree. Like, I think Skyrim did it perfectly. If you own original Skyrim Legendary Edition, you got the special edition for free if you already owned the previous edition, and that's a fantastic. That's how every game company should do any remasters that they're wanting to do. Is, hey, it's been 10 years. Here's updated graphics on it for free.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, considering in that particular company, the modders have been carrying that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep. Well, they still are. They still do.
Segue here. What was your favorite Fallout? Not counting the first 2.5, 3, because Tactics that counts as a half. New Vegas.
New Vegas.
Okay.
Obviously, I mean.
So, do you know what team made New Vegas?
Yeah, Obsidian.
Who used to be?
I don't know what.
Interplay, the original creators of Fallout.
Were they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I heard that somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, their Outer Worlds sucked.
It was. I hated the story.
It was so bad. It was too one-dimensional.
It was Fallout Light.
Yeah, and it was. Yeah, it just I really hated it.
I think it was released as a because they knew that there was Starfield.
No, there was a big pushback on Fallout 4, I believe. Yeah, everyone was like, "Hey, Fallout 4 sucks. It doesn't have any actual, role-playing elements in it.
So
it's a big step back."
So they released a role-playing element game.
So they were like, they capitalized on the hate towards Bethesda, and we're like, "Hey, we're taking on Bethesda." It does have better
role-playing elements than 4. And
but they don't account to anything though. That's the problem. See, Fallout 4 actually has a world that at least feels, dynamic and actually like a real world. The Outer Worlds just felt like, a cardboard cutout. Hey, here's the next scene.
Right.
It didn't feel like an open world that was actually alive.
The next thing that's completely different. Oh, there's some bad shit happening here. You can't do the thing you came here to do. You got to do this thing first.
Yeah, here's a character in this one town on this one planet that you're going to meet once and do one quest for and then never interact with again or ever see again. And it just felt, like, here's this scene, do this here. Good job. On to the next scene. Here's this scene, do this here. On to the next scene.
That's what the benefit of staying on one planet.
Yeah, yeah.
I will say the benefit of staying in one city on your map.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like these companies are like, Starfield's the best. Let's go and make a bunch of procedurally generated planets that are mostly empty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Starfield sucks.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it was a step back even from their previous titles. Fallout 4, it was a step back from Fallout 4.
So, I love you, Emil. I am so sorry. Dude. But that game is boring as Emil,
yeah.
If you ever listen to this, I am sorry. From the depth of my soul, I'm sorry. But that game sucks, man. Anyway.
Well, just every companion was just nagging you constantly. It was like your mother was there just yeah, you get ready for school. Or I can't believe you murdered that citizen. And it was just constant nagging.
And I didn't give a shit about any part of the story.
Yeah, no, I didn't care about any of the characters, didn't care about the story, didn't care about being Starborn or whatever the hell that was.
It's the same thing
Yeah.
as being Dragonborn,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
in space. I don't know.
yeah. Your character didn't need to be special or have
You're a
these
Mary
crazy
Sue
powers.
bringing back some 2021 words, some 2019 to 2021. You're Space Sue, Space Mary Sue.
Yes. What are your other top three? So you've got Last Epoch.
Persona 3, and I know you don't like remakes, but Persona 3 Reload is the next one I have.
Mm-hmm.
This actually originally came out on PlayStation 3. No, I'm sorry, 2.
Yeah.
Then it came out with a second one called FES, Persona 3 FES, which added 30 additional hours of gameplay. There was like you could
New
play
character.
as Aegis for 30 hours before you get into the actual thing, which is cool. And then again on the PS, what's it called? PSP? PlayStation Portal. Yeah. So that was called P3P, and you could play as a female protagonist by choice. You could you could pick one of the other male or female protagonist. I believe that that one had all the FES content in it. And then somehow it ended up that got put onto Game Pass, which is either off now or it's about to come off because P3 Reload comes out on the 2nd, and that's going to be on Game Pass. But this is a high definition upgrade. It looks like they may have updated some of the animation because what these games are known for is having really good anime cutscenes.
Yeah.
The sound's great. The music in these games is great, and I would not be surprised if we get some reimagining of some of the original score. And I wouldn't be surprised if they scrambled up some of the actual mechanics for combat. But this is adult Pokemon. For anyone who hasn't ever played a Mega 10 game, it's adult Pokemon, but very adult. What's your number 2? The PAX Day.
My number 2 for 2024 is PAX Day. I watched Osmongold play it when it had the open beta, or not open beta, closed beta, alpha, whatever they called it. Yeah, whatever they called it. And I don't know if anyone has played Rust, but it looked a lot like Rust, where it's a big, massive multiplayer, 100 people in the same server, whatever, all on a big island, all harvesting resources, making bases, raiding each other. I had so much fun playing Rust, and this looks like medieval Rust with better graphics. And,
I was about to say it looks a lot sexier than Rust does.
Yeah, the graphics.
Rust looks like you and I made it.
Yeah.
PAX Day is actually, there's an alpha sign up for it. For anyone interested. Link will not be in the description.
No. And they do not have a release date yet on it. So it could get pushed back out of 2024, but yeah. That's my number 2.
Welcome to a vast social sandbox MMO inspired by the legends of the medieval era. Here, myths are real, ghosts exist, and magic is unquestioned. In this immense open world playground, you choose the role you want to play. Immerse yourself along with thousands of other players as you explore the land, build your home, forge your reputation, and craft your own stories. So this, I think the Rust thing that you're getting, the Rust vibe is probably not unfounded. You know what? I'll give this one a day in court. Court. My number 3. Space Marine 2.
I did not play Space Marine 1.
You should go back and play Space Marine 1.
What is it?
This is a direct continuation. This is I guess you could call it a hack and slash with guns.
Is it? Okay.
It's
So
like a
it's like
3D.
third person?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But you're controlling a Adeptus Astartes, and you're, raining havoc on the Xenos.
Yeah.
So from what I understand, story-wise, at the end of Space Marine, Captain Titus kind of gets screwed over because he's gotten too close to the bad juju, and the bad juju and the Imperium is not looked fondly upon. And if you get too close to it, they typically just kill you. Anyway, he gets too close to it. He doesn't get corrupted. I'm not telling you the story. Go back and play Space Marine 1 for anyone watching. Space Marine 2 is a direct continuation after he kicks the ass of the bad guy in the first one. Go figure. But he is turned into, I believe, a Primaris Space Marine, which makes him even more badass and even more bigger.
I'm not familiar with
Warhammer. So a regular Space Marine is about 8 foot tall. I think they're just a bioengineered immortal weapon of death. And a Primaris Space Marine is a bigger version of that. It's like Space Marine, Primaris Space Marine, and then like the Primarchs are like 10 foot tall. Like they're the gene seed to each thing. Anyway, getting into nerd talk. They're all big as they're huge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you get to play as one of them, and it's awesome.
The Primus or the Ark you get to play as?
He is in this game because Primaris Space Marine didn't exist when the first game came out.
Sure.
It wasn't in the. I don't believe it was in the lore. I don't think it was.
When did Space Marine 1 come out?
That was like over 10 years ago.
Oh, was it really that long ago?
Oh. Yeah, it's been out for a while. It was on Xbox 360.
There's so many 40K video games that come out. I can't keep track of any of them.
Yeah, they're not all great.
No,
but yeah, Space Marine 1 is fine. It's better than fine. It's really fun. Space Marine 2, I will be streaming this game with a buddy of mine. I'll be on his stream. I won't be running through this, but
nice.
This is something that I've been looking forward to for a very long time. And when they said he was a Primaris, that just, now I care about the story more. Yeah. Before I was just like, yes, I will go and cut down some greenskins with a chainsaw. Now it's like, okay, you're using this new bit of lore that's been introduced to the world.
Yes. And now you care about why.
Yeah. But yeah, it is the Imperium bleeds. Heed the call of war. The sequel of the legendary license Space Marine by the creators of the bestseller World War Z, 15 million players. Embody a Space Marine. Embrace the superhuman skills and brutality of a Space Marine, the Emperor's finest and deadliest warrior. Engage in best-in-class action. Unleash your arsenal against swarms of Tyranids and spectacular battles with hundreds of enemies on screen. That's the big deals. Before, like their mobs, they had to scale them back.
Yeah.
They're claiming that they're bringing the mob size.
That's awesome with better tech and everything.
Yeah. The mob size is getting increased. Fight for glory with your friends. Continue the story of legendary Ultramarine Lieutenant Titus in a thrilling solo or 3-player co-op campaign. 3-player co-op. Also, the statue that you can get with this is fucking awesome.
What, like the collector's edition or whatever?
Yeah. I think you can switch the head for Titus without the helmet or with the helmet.
Really? Yeah.
And he's cut a Termagant in half. It's just cool. What yours is your third? Getting on.
Yes. My third game top 3 games that I'm looking forward to in 2024 is Pacific Drive. So this just recently started making the news. I think they just did their initial release on it maybe a month ago, if not a little bit less. I'll start with the release date. So it's the release date of February 22nd, so a month from now. The description is face the supernatural dangers of the Olympic exclusion zone with a car as your only lifeline in this driving survival adventure. Scavenge resources, load up your trusty station wagon, and drive like hell to make it through alive. What initially drew me to this was the Stalker vibes I was getting from it. So I don't know if anyone's familiar with the Stalker franchise. It was some first-person shooter games that came out 2000, maybe 8, 9, somewhere around there. Fantastic games, and it's about the Stalker games are about Chernobyl and the nuclear disaster over there. So there's a lot of like radiation and weird anomalies and mutants and that sort of stuff, and the atmosphere and everything of it was just very unique. That still hasn't been really captured by any other games. This gave me a lot of the same vibes. It's got an exclusion zone just like Stalker did. Except this one is in the Olympic northwest of the United States, which is in the Washington State. Check out the game, or check out the videos that
it's
they've
in
released on it.
Washington State?
Yeah, that's where this game is set. And they went out there and they actually did a lot of filming and pictures to actually capture how the Olympic is a national park in Washington.
Yeah, okay.
So this is set in Olympic National Park after a supposed event has happened where the military is now cordoned off the Olympic, what they call the Olympic exclusion zone. There's a lot of crazy, unexplained anomalies that happen in here. There's mutants, and it looks like a ton of fun, and I can't wait to sink my teeth into it and kind of figure out what direction they're going to go with it. So
it was really strange because I was watching a little bit about this this morning, and it looks fascinating. It looks
like, did you see the video?
Unique.
Yes. Yeah, it looks really unique. Did you see the video where there's those like statue things, mutants that are like on the side of the road, and he gets out and looks at them, and then they don't move. He goes up and like hits them and stuff. Yeah, and then he turns away. He looks away from them and starts walking back to his car, then turns around and they're like a little bit closer.
They Doctor Who'd him.
He turns and it's like the Weeping Angels, and it's so it just little things like that of just like little anomalies. And I don't know if you're familiar with SCP or anything like that. It's like an online community, fictitious like government agency called the SCP, and there's lots of different anomalies. One of them is
if there could be a government agency, it wouldn't be fictitious. They throw money at everything.
True. Very true. Yeah. But this one is fictitious, at least as far as we know. Yeah. But so it's just really cool little like unknown little mysteries. Like,
will they shoot my dog?
The SCP probably.
Yeah, I think that's standard operation.
I mean, they
for all of them, right?
I mean, they sacrifice prisoners anyway in SCP. So it's safe to say that the first thing they do when they arrive, knock on a door, and the door opens, is to shoot the dog. Got it. Probably, yeah. I mean, that's every government agency. So.
Yeah, pretty sure.
But so that is my third game that I am looking forward to in the coming year.
Okay. Awesome. Well, that wraps up the first episode. Next week, guys.
Yep. Thanks for joining us.